Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Future Track. Thank you so much for being here. I am excited to introduce Benyamin Ahmed, who's going to tell us a little bit about what he's been up to. Benjamin, please come to the stage.
So thank you for the introduction, Simon, and I'll just jump straight into it. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be gathered here today. And as a young person involved in the NFT space, today's topic is one that I've thought about intensely. What role will digital assets play 10, 20, 30 years down the line? So let's start with a quick look at my background. I started my tech journey at a young age. I was about 5 years old when I began learning to code. My dad would come home from work, pull out his laptop and start coding. This triggered a deep curiosity within me and my brother. We began to shadow him. Initially, it was just a bit of fun, but over the next few years, we started getting serious. My dad started us on a daily coding regime, eventually branching off into the world of cryptocurrencies and blockchains. At the start of 2021, my brain was primed and ready for the bull run that was around the corner. In July 2021, I launched my second NFT collection. I was the youngest person at the time to launch a generative art NFT collection. This led to considerable media coverage. I've since worked on crypto documentaries for the BBC and CNBC, and have obsessively followed the NFT space ever since. I might seem like an anomaly today, but I'll try to explain why I believe the ownership of NFTs will be the norm and not the exception. So let's have a look at today's agenda. I'll start by defining an NFT. My own understanding of what an NFT constitutes has changed considerably over the past year. I'll provide the widest possible definition of what an NFT represents in order for you to understand how huge NFTs can become. In the next chapter, we'll take a look at the rise of NFTs, looking back at some data from 2021 where a certain subset of NFTs found product market fit. And in chapter 3, we will look at the pathway adoption, a model devised by one of the leading thinkers in the space, known as Punk6529, on how NFTs will grow to encompass every type of asset imaginable. In chapter 4, we will look at 2 recent product launches with the potential to onboard hundreds of millions of users. And finally, we'll conclude, and I hope to leave you all inspired and pumped as you return back to your day jobs, armed with this information to revolutionize your industry. So, let's start with the basics. What is an NFT? So, an NFT stands for non-fungible token, but everyone understands the non-token part, but they struggle with the definition of fungible. An item is fungible if it can be replaced by another identical item. For example, money is fungible. If I give you £10 today and ask for it back in 2 weeks' time, you can return any £10 back. It doesn't have to be that exact £10 note I gave you. Non-fungible items cannot be interchanged. An airline ticket is a real-world example of a non-fungible item. It is very specific: airline, destination, passenger, date and time. You cannot use it to travel anywhere in the world. A more technical way to think about NFTs is as a new file format. We are all familiar with popular file formats such as PDFs, Word docs, MP3 files, and JPEGs. What an NFT does is it takes an existing file format and extends it with a record which is stored on the blockchain. It will then record its ownership and provenance details on the blockchain. The provenance record is a record of its ownership history. The history cannot be tampered with or modified. It can be queried publicly, and it is censorship resistant. No central authority can confiscate this asset from you. As the owner of this asset, you can then trade or transfer it to someone else by using your personal cryptographic key. I prefer this more technical description of an NFT as a new file format. I first heard Even Soto Wright, the CEO of MoonPay, refer to NFTs in this way at NFT NYC, and it stuck with me ever since, as it really does show how huge NFTs can become. Now let's look at the rise of NFTs. On screen, we can see a chart which shows the growth of NFTs of 2021. We don't need to dwell on this too much, but clearly we can see that NFTs found product market fit in certain sectors. The volume has pulled back in 2022, however, the trajectory is clear. The reason we are all gathered here today is because of this chart. In 1992, the internet had 5 million users. In 2022, we have 5 billion users. NFTs will follow a similar trajectory. The adoption pathway of NFTs. The current slide shows where we are in the NFT journey. This timeline was created by Punk6529, a leading thinker and collector in the NFT space. The timeline begins in 2020 with collectibles. In February 2021, we saw $4 million sales in CryptoPunks, which helped propel the historic NFT bullrun. Art was a natural extension, which included generative art and AI art. Music and photography made similar strides too. This is where the current NFT journey stands. We've seen some innovation in the Web3 gaming sector, such as play to earn, but nothing that feels like mass adoption. A traditional game like Fortnite has over 400 million registered users, 83 million monthly active users, and an annual revenue in excess of $6 billion. This is what adoption looks like. Web3 can revolutionize the gaming sector in the following 7 ways. The first is self-custody solutions, that you can actually own your assets, skins, and cosmetics. The second is it enables liquidity through secondary markets, where your in-game assets can then be traded. The third is scarcity by making some items rarer than others. The fourth is your decentralized identity and reputation. The fifth is payment solutions using Bitcoin or Ethereum. The sixth is decentralized governance structures using DAOs. And the seventh is interoperability with other NFT ecosystems. The timeline then goes on to give us an indication of what is yet to come. Metaverse, brands, culture, IP, these are all grouped as natively digital assets. Towards the end of this decade, we will start seeing all off-chain assets migrating to NFT rails. Everything from the existing capital markets, real estate, and even governance. Each of these boxes is potentially a $1 trillion plus industry with hundreds of millions of users. Now let's look at some interesting use cases I've seen today. There's lots of interesting projects in the NFT space. However, due to time constraints, I'll focus on 2 recent launches. I've picked these specifically due to their potential to onboard large audiences. The first project is the most recent Cricket World Cup happening in Australia. Cricket has a highly engaged global audience of around 2.6 billion viewers. As part of the fan engagement strategy, digital collectibles were launched. License moments, play to earn, gaming, and trading cards from as little as $7. As you can see on the slide, the NFT aspect of the product is hidden. It's packaged more like a set of trading cards that you can buy from your local shop. The underlying technology is irrelevant. The second project is one you've probably heard of, the Reddit collectible avatars drop. The interesting aspect about this project is that they talk little about NFTs or crypto, vaults instead of wallets, coins instead of tokens, and collectible avatars instead of NFTs. The onboarding experience was frictionless. You could purchase directly in fiat. You didn't require any crypto knowledge. Core Web3 concepts around decentralization and permissionless networks are not the focus here. They're hidden away as a developer's aspirations. However, if you dig deeper, you realize that the collectible avatars are indeed NFTs, specifically ERC1155 tokens, and their community points are fungible ERC20 tokens. The vault is a Polygon wallet. The economics of the project were wholesome, free from influencer shills and pump and dump schemes that have become associated with many NFT collections. Instead, the cost to participate was cheap and free. The star of the show was a product that Reddit users wanted to purchase, rather than appealing to coolness by relying on technical jargon. Let's take a look at some numbers for this drop. Based on numbers revealed by the Reddit Chief Product Officer, in a couple of months, Reddit has created more than 3 million connected wallets. That's more than the leading marketplace, OpenSea, which has around 2.3 million users and has been operational for years. So, let's wrap this up. I began talking about redefining NFTs as a new file format, a much more expansive definition. We then looked at the rise of very small subsets of NFTs, notably digital collectibles and art. We outlined a pathway to adoption on how NFTs will encompass all industries and looked at 2 recent examples, targeting hundreds of millions of users. Over the next few years, we will see many more examples as owning NFTs will become the norm, not the exception. Everyone, thank you for your time today. Please do keep in contact. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. My user handles are on the screen. On Twitter, I mainly focus about posting educational content as I continue to venture further down this rabbit hole. Everyone, thank you for listening to my talk.